The lead generation is the highest priority.
Absolutely. You can't be, it's the number one job, right? So that's good. What else? What else did you guys get from your first class? Anybody else?
Just more of like a changing how you're like a thought. So like saying that you can't do something and just changing the words of, you know, I'm gonna learn how to do this instead of
Right. Absolutely. Language patterns are important. Sometimes we got to check in on the conversations we're having with ourselves and the way we're having conversations. Oftentimes we're probably not even self-aware that, you know, we're telling ourselves things that subconsciously aren't really inducive to what we're trying to create, right? So being self-aware of the chatter in your head and just kind of the conversations you have, or even just I like to say, what kind of relationship do you have with yourself, right? I think that goes a long way, especially in this business, because it's so much mindset and what what we're working with daily. Essentially, we're our own bosses here in this business, right? So it's extremely important to check in on ourselves in terms of that kind of thing, for sure. Awesome. Let me get one more person just share with us. Let's see here. Why my screen is not sharing. One more person want to share?
Another point that stuck with me is how much business is available within your sphere of influence.
Absolutely. It's one of the most cost-effective ways to actually do business, and you'll already be working with people who know you and like you, right? So it's a big deal to recognize that and set a plan to capitalize on it. And at the end of the day, you don't want people that aren't in your sphere of influence's best interest working with them when you can be, right? So that's like the other side of it. There's so many people you might know and want to help and support and, you know, get them through a transaction that's probably one of the most important transactions of their lives. But hey, somebody else, if you're not positioning yourself to take that on, somebody else is, and oftentimes it can leave them in a bad place. So I give you that perspective so you do position yourself, because oftentimes there are barriers between agents and working with sphere or close friends or family. Sometimes it's just a lot harder than working with people you just don't know, right? And that hesitation can sometimes leave you to the side or keep you out of action when you should be in action to support them. So awesome. Cool. I appreciate you guys all sharing that. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now. Let me see what's going on here. Ignite, share screen. All right. Are you guys seeing anything that says Ignite? I'm not seeing the green ring around it for some reason.
Yes, we can see it. Ignite.
Okay. All right. So today's topic, we are going to Spark 2, okay? And just minimize this. And the thing is here, like, you know, it is about lead generation and how lead generation is the core of your business, guys. You know, there's no important job that you actually have in this business but to lead generate. And at the end of the day, it's something that you never stop in your business, right? And we're going to go through some of the details on exactly, you know, what that looks like. So we often talk about what's the secret to a successful real estate agent, and the reality is there is no success to it, but we know that success leaves clues, right? And what agents do every day ultimately determines, right, and their activities determines on what that success is. We're gonna go over the lead generation model today to kind of model some of what your daily activities should look like. And if it's not looking like that, then we need to have a discussion on how to get it to look like that. And oftentimes what I find out is usually what it comes down to is people think the biggest misconception is they don't have time or whatever else. But the reality is it becomes a schedule or a management issue more than it is anything else. Because again, there's nothing more important than lead generation in your business. And if you're doing everything else but lead generate, then what we call that is either one, you're babysitting deals, or you're finding a lot of the busy work, but not necessarily the productive work that's going to translate to business, right? So we're going to focus definitely on lead generating for buyers and sellers today, okay? Now, this is our little pipeline here. It says lead generate, so that's going to be the first part of today's session, okay? The lead generation model. Then we're going to go a little deeper into lead generation itself. And then we're going to break things down into the database. And from your database, we'll cover a little bit about your sales pipeline, go over some ahas, and wrap this up for you guys, okay? So again, the focus today is lead gen. And the important thing that I want you guys to understand is it fits into the bigger picture, right? If you guys can get this funnel here, right, and understand the lead generation database sales pipeline process, it is the fundamental, the heart of your business essentially, right? So understanding this is really, really important, and it's beyond, you know, the couple hours that we have here today. I would say take this even after it, review what we discussed today, and just, you know, maybe print this out, pin it on your wall in front of your computer. It's just one of those models that if you look at every day, it will give you clarity. So I highly recommend doing that. Now we do have a little quote here, and I love participation because I think, especially on Zoom, it really helps to have that two-way reciprocation. Who wants to read the big picture and that little quote underneath it?
I'll read it.
All right. I'll wait all day. I mean, participation will happen, guys. So.
Understanding the lead generation model provides a larger vision of interconnected tasks and habits and how they help fund your big why.
Exactly. So who here knows what their big why is?
Me, I want to be financially independent.
Boom. Want to be financially independent. Who else? Love it. How about some of us who have kids out there, significant others?
Leaving a legacy for my family.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Leaving a legacy for my family.
Love that. Leaving a legacy for my family. Great. What else? Who else?
Helping people in my community create generational wealth.
Love that. In my community. Love that. That's huge. Creating opportunity for others is a big deal. That's awesome. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you guys for chipping in on that. That helps a lot. So yeah, like you guys said, so now you guys have this big why, right? And the way you're going to get to that why is obviously through lead generating, right? And that's why this is part of the bigger picture, because when you can take this model, right, and execute on it, you're going to be able to start recording things. You're going to start tracking things. You're going to start to see how many, you know, contacts you need to make to get into an appointment, how many appointments you need to go on to get into under contracts you need to take to get to closed, right? And that starts to generate, once you're doing it consistently enough, you start to get a frame of reference of where you're at. And you can also start to identify your skill level with what areas we need to kind of tweak along the process, right, to help you get more efficient. And at the end of the day, once we start to evaluate and we have a long enough period of tracking your daily activities, we could then start to pinpoint how far you are from establishing hitting that first goal, right? And then from there, we get to your second and third and so on and so on. The next thing we know, we have a duplicatable system that's running with high efficiency, and you start to see how those goals are very obtainable and how you start to fund those big whys. And I'm telling you, your big why starts a certain way, and so does your lead gen model. And as you get better through the process, or as you become more efficient, you'll start to see how that synergy starts to create within yourself to want to do more, create more, and just be more effective. So the goal right now is to take you guys, from where you're at to that next level. And this is essentially how we do that. So it says here, you can see the big picture, right? For how each piece or task helps you achieve closed contracts. Closed contracts help you achieve the financial goals in funding your big why, right? This is how your business will be affected, right? And when you take this model in, you could definitely translate it to the numbers you're looking for, okay? And then we're going to discuss a little bit certain things of prospecting versus marketing here, and the conversion of leads and how you go about that to make sure that we're also making sure your appointments line up the way you need to, okay? So as we move on here, we are looking a little bit more at the model, right? And if you look at the three phases here, again, on the left, you have a lead gen. Let me see if I have a pointer in here. I think I do. Do you guys see the mouse clicker thing on here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So as you can see in this area here, we got the top of the funnel, and this says prospecting and marketing, right? And this is your lead gen. Then from there, we've got a middle section called your database. I'm sure some of you have been familiar with the database, but maybe some of you don't know exactly how it works. And as you can see, there's two parts to your database, right? You got your leads and you have your contacts. And then once you cultivate those, it dips into goes into your appointments. And then from there, you go into active or under contract and then closed. So when you guys look at this model here, what is this, maybe you looked at, maybe right now as an agent and where you are, everything that you're kind of just reading or looking at, it's all about prospecting. You're probably looking at prospecting a lot. But what is looking at this as one big funnel tell you guys? What kind of clarity are you getting from looking at it?
You're not going to get one without the other. So you have to, it's like a domino effect.
It is, right? It's a little deeper than maybe, just prospecting, right? We throw that term around all the time, and we probably think about it like, oh yeah, prospecting. And the first thing that might pop in your head is a phone, right? Or you say prospecting, and then you think of open houses or door knocking, but there's so much more why you do that, right? There has to go somewhere. Most agents, and I'll tell you this, I know a lot of agents who've been in the business a long time, and they stay stuck on this top piece of the funnel. And I want to share that with you guys, because even if doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do this next piece, which is a database. I see it all the time. People stay stuck in the prospecting or even maybe marketing, where they're capturing leads, but nobody ever really holds on to the database or is purposeful with creating a proper database. And I'm telling you, there's nothing more important than, if you're going to invest your time in this business, and you guys are all relatively, let's just say newer to the business, right? Then there's nothing more purposeful than starting your database, because that's going to be where you're getting those referral businesses or those come list me calls, down the road, right? So important to create this, and so many people skip out on that. Now, the lead generation model is backed by research, okay? That the research has been conducted for a second edition of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2, which we're waiting for that to come out. And today we're going to discuss, the activities for each one of these things. On the top part, as we talked about the lead generation model, the top of the model is where you focus on generating leads through prospecting and marketing. And prospecting is when you go out and find leads, right? And then the difference between prospecting and marketing is with marketing, you're attracting leads, right? You're attracting leads that you go out and want to seek, right? And not only are they working, not only are you working to get new leads, but you're also working to get new repeat and referral business from your sphere of influence. This sphere of influence are people, okay, that you already know. So how many of you think right now you have a solid database or not? Because I can tell you guys all probably have a really strong database, but you might not know it yet. And usually there is a device that we all use every single day, and that's typically where your first database is. So who wants to take a guess of what that is? Where your your phone, absolutely. And Nick does this all the time. I love doing it too. If you really go, and if you got an iPhone, at least I know on the iPhones it works, you go all the way down to the bottom and you check those contacts, there is a number on that bottom. So why don't you guys all take your phone out right now if you can, and go to your contacts and scroll all the way down. And who wants to share some of those numbers with me right now? How many?
461.
460.
284.
284. Give me some more numbers.
700. I didn't know I knew so many people.
700. Awesome.
566.
What is it?
566.
566. There you go. Okay. You see, guys, there's a lot of contacts there already. These are people that one way or another made it into your phone, right? And they weren't going to make it into your phone unless there was a reciprocating conversation. And, let's face it, you like them, they like you. You're like, you know what, whatever this is, whether it's your mechanic or, or just, your Starbucks barista or whatever it is, they're in your phone, right? So you can consider those people, right, as how purposeful are you getting into in terms of communicating with them and things of that nature. So again, you guys are already starting off at a good place, having hundreds of people already in your phone. So keep that in mind. You've got something to work with. All right. Now, the next part is the database activities, right? Working on your database, leads or contacts. Leads and contacts are broken into two different parts in your database. And you'll be working on communicating with each group in a different way. Okay. And the way you work with that is what you want to get out of that process is you want to stay top of mind and have conversations through different touches and activities. Things like phone calls, right? Handwritten letters, event invitations, text messages, promotional materials, right? Those are just some examples to communicate with your database. And we'll show you down the road in terms of when we get deeper into databases, how you have like automatic campaigns and drip campaigns that help you support that. Okay. And then in part 3 here, the sales pipeline, right, is the final piece of the model. Once a lead or a contact has raised their hand to do business, right, and has identified a timeline, obviously, to close, right, or want to do business, then you could go into, once they raise their hands and identified a timeline, then they go into step 4, which is where you cultivate, right? And that is the beginning of the last piece of the model, where you go into an appointment, active, under contract, or closed. So that's pretty much the full setup here. Is you'll have your leads and your contacts, and those are just going to be communicated with differently, right? Because leads aren't contacts. And then once you cultivate that, right, and they raise their hand, then at that point they'll fall into where you're actually doing some business with them. All right. And then after the transaction has closed, the contact moves back to the contact database and continues an interactive value-based touch campaign to deepen the relationship, right? It's important for you guys to understand that because a transaction is closed, that it doesn't mean that the relationship is ended, right? To me, that's where we separate the line between being a realtor and being a business owner. There's so many agents out there. Like I told you, there's a lot of agents that have been in business a long time that stay stuck in this prospecting and marketing, but never build their database. A lot of those same agents are the ones that are also orphaning off their clients, right? They're kind of one and dones. Hey, great, I helped you. We got you, your home. Now I'm out, and they never communicate with those agents again, right? Or that agent never reaches out. They don't have a system to reach out, and they miss out on so much business because I believe the stat is 70% of clients would use the same agent again, but that agent never actually puts in an effort to stay in contact with them. And through enough years, somebody else will come knocking on their door or give them that call, and they end up working with that person. But 70% of those people say we would have worked with the same agent again. But when that communication isn't there, then it's just lost, right? So your goal when you're cultivating and building your database, and after the transaction is closed, that's where the work begins again, right? That's where you have systems in place to communicate with them systematically, so that you're number one in their mind when it comes to real estate. Now, I want to give you guys just a little perspective on here. Who here uses Amazon?
Yep, every day.
Every day, right? So if you buy something on Amazon, what happens?
It's there right by your door the next day.
It's there the next day, right? But how about the email that you get, or then the text message? Thank you for purchasing. Oh, your product is ready to get shipped. Your product is on the way. Your product's at your doorstep. Then you get a picture with the box in front of your house, and then thank you. And then, hey, how did you like your product? Would you like to review this? And then you go on your Amazon again, and guess what? They got more product, or a product that complements what you purchased showing up on your page, right? So Amazon probably sits us a minimum of 1,500 times a year. So we do talk about drip campaigns in real estate, and we have systems for that. And oftentimes that system that we discuss is a 33 touch campaign, 54. I see some people going over 100 now, which is great. But just know that if you're hesitant about communicating with your clients in that fashion, Amazon is doing it 10 times more than most realtors are. If not 1,000 times more. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys that perspective on what it takes to stay top of mind, because information, can we all agree, is very rapid these days. You go on your Facebook feed, and even now, or Instagram, and if you're not on there for more than an hour, you probably missed, I don't know, 40, 50 feeds, depending on your friend count. I don't know, right? Like, it's so crazy. So if you're not finding a way to drop in on your clients consistently and often enough, they'll forget about you, right? So you want to be sure that you keep top of mind with that. So I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I'm sorry. I love giving these examples and perspectives because I think it helps you guys understand, right? Like kind of where it's at. So here we are in the top piece again. We did cover this. Where prospecting and marketing brings leads and contacts into your database, and you should be prospecting based, marketing enhanced, and know that your lead gen never stops. So this is an important piece right here. What does it mean when you should be prospecting based, marketing enhanced? Being prospecting based, marketing enhanced. What is that? What is that telling you guys? Or gals?
Constantly contacting clients and then following up with like a marketing piece after, maybe quarterly or something like that.
Thank you, Arthur. That's definitely one way to, that's definitely one of the ways it's what it's telling us here. Who else has something else out of that? Anybody else? Well, let me go ahead and just get this through for you guys. So here's the thing, prospecting based, right? is important because prospecting base is more cost effective, but time intensive, right? And then marketing costs a little bit of money. So let me ask you this. If I gave, you know, a new agent, I'm not saying this is any of you guys, but completely new, a bunch of leads that were red hot, what do you think is going to happen in that process?
You're not gonna know what to do with them.
Exactly. And what does it take to do, and what do you need to market for the most part for marketing?
Money.
Money, right? So one of the biggest mistakes I see out there is people go out and spend a lot of money on marketing, and I get it. There's some entrepreneurs out there that have ran businesses before. They're familiar with marketing, they understand it, and they want to go out, put money, and they want to generate leads. And when it comes down to converting them, guess what? They don't pan out because they don't have the skill set yet. So there's a few things you get early on in your business, and actually this never fades away. I don't care how long you've been in the business. Whenever you're being prospecting based, you're building the skill, you're developing the mindset, you're experiencing the market firsthand from what people are telling you, right? From talking to enough people day in and day out. And you start to get good at scripting, which helps you get to the right questions to be more efficient in your conversations, right? And ultimately, that helps you do what? Convert the business, right? So when you can get to that point, especially, you know, even if you have to start over the phone, right? In the beginning, I tell people, like, I know some people hate the phone, but one of the things the phone did for me when I first started is it got me used to getting in those conversations, getting my scripts down. So now I stop thinking about what I'm going to say next and actually hear what's happening on the other side of the conversation. And that's extremely important for you guys, because a lot of new agents that aren't experienced with prospecting, let's just say over the phone, for example, you're going to probably be more worried about what the script says next, right? And what's the next qualifying question versus let me hear what they're actually telling me on the other side. And it's not until you get to that point that you'll actually start to truly convert your leads, right? So the more you're in practice with that, the more that you're doing it, your scripts and role play and actually prospecting, that's like, until you're doing that enough, your conversion rates will probably be medium at best, right? So it's so important to practice that every day. And I'll tell you, if you're doing this every single day and you take a break for 1 week, you'll even see from 1 week of not doing it how far off you are from flowing in your conversation. So again, prospecting based is huge, especially if you're really new in the business and you haven't done enough, or if you haven't been consistently doing it, but you are seasoned. Get back to the fundamentals, scripts and role play. Do that every single day, 5 days a week, right? Especially before you actually prospect, because we don't want to practice on clients or potential business, and then get on the phones and do that. And then you'll start to get the flow of things. And I'm telling you, once you know those questions off the top of your head, your confidence on the phone or even in person, which is even easier than the phone, in my opinion, because you got a lot more going for you with body language and other things, really starts to get you where you want to go in terms of converting business. It's not until you've got your prospecting down, right, where you could say, hey, I'm making X amount of calls a week and I'm booking appointments consistently. And now I've got some closed transactions and I want to lead with revenue, till you could start, I would say, putting a solid budget aside to go into the marketing side of things. Now, there is ways to market for free as well, right? There's things you could use to leverage Facebook, which I consider that more of a marketing. And there's certain things that you could do with digital and digital media these days that help. That's cost effective, right? So keep that in mind. There is a balance there. But in terms of what we're talking about in terms of marketing with this example, it could be, you know, buying leads. It could be, you know, Google Ads. It could be a number of things. Okay. Let's keep that in mind. All right. Any questions on this piece here? Nope. All right, let's move on. So let me see here. I'm sorry, 1 second. All right, so the next piece here we're gonna go over is let's see here. There's a video they want us to watch. So let me stop share. Oh my God, there's so many more people here. Sorry, I was just reading some of the comments. Let me pull this video up for you guys. All right. Do you guys see the video?
Yep.
All right, let me know if you guys get audio. I'm gonna play it. Do you hear it or no?
Generation is the first thing you should do.
You can or you can't?
Yes, yes, we can hear.
Okay, perfect.
Those calls.
I took what I already knew and how I would go and shop for a house and just applied it to them.
It's a numbers game, you know. If you can track how many people you're calling in a day and how many hours you're doing this, there's a formula.
Make those calls.
I used those things that I did innately to attract my clients.
I became a hyper-local expert in the military because I am a military spouse. The two key things that I did to generate the most success for me were social media and open houses because I didn't have the database like everybody else did. So I had to find ways that I could get in front of people fast and also something that would be maybe have the buyer or seller would be ready and willing to buy now versus later. And I'm lead generating specifically in an area that is military friendly, military heavy. It really is in the follow-up. Be present in their lives, build a relationship. Don't just ask for business every single time you see them. Be present in their lives, build the relationship. The least effective marketing activities for me were cold calling. And that's just because my niche market, they're not going to be already local. They're going to be moving from other bases. Then I decided, well, if I'm going to leverage cold calling, let's do it more purposeful and let's do it only in my niche market where I know that there's military there. They're likely to buy or sell in 3 to 4 years. Mindset was a huge part of my success. One of the things I tell myself for an open house is one good lead every time. And so I start that action at least a week beforehand. I do a social media campaign. I follow up with all the likes and comments. And then I do a door knock around the open house. And then I follow up with anybody who is active at the open house. And usually that results in at least one buyer or seller leads, usually more.
So my first year, obviously, you know, the minute I made the change, it's super scary. I've got a network of people still reaching out to me to, you know, help them with what I was doing before, which was post-production. And I knew that my job in the beginning of the year, starting out, was changing people's mind from thinking if they met somebody who needed a commercial made, they thought of me. I knew my job was to change all the people who knew and trusted me when they heard somebody needed to buy a house or sell their house, they thought of me. You know, if you're starting out and you don't have that network, be really intentional about where you spend your time. You go get gas. Meet somebody who needs to buy a house. Just think that way, and you'll attract that to yourself. I think everybody likes to talk about real estate. Your job is for people to know that you are in real estate and that they will bring it up. Open houses are by far just the best thing you should do out of the gate every weekend, each day. Starting out, I did door knocking, I did mailing, I didn't get a great return, but I wouldn't change that. If I was starting out again, I would door knock. It's just talking to people, getting rejected. It's great experience no matter what. I'll also say that the most important thing is that your lead generation strategy is coming from a place of authenticity. You're not going to get every client in the city, but there are people out there that are going to resonate with who you are, and just figure out a way to bring value. The income is secondary. That's how I go about it, and I think that really resonates with obviously my set of people that I take care of.
My lead generation strategies in the beginning were a challenge. I actually honestly believed when I first started that lead generation was cold calling and door knocking. So I kind of stayed away from that. I was fearful, I was anxious, but over the course of the business, the things that were innate to me, networking, open houses, facilitating classes, it allowed me the opportunity to connect, and I start to see that as opportunities for lead gen. And it was far more effective for me because it was natural. Let me just go back. When I became a new agent, from the time that I was in Ignite and graduated from Ignite in October, November, December, I closed with 8 transactions in just 3 months. And during that period of time, I noticed a developmental gap. And I say this to say, I was spurred to partner and collaborate with some other agents and create master classes, as well as Launch and Learns monthly, to share, mindset, motivational speaking. And through this, I was able to build a community, or I was able to build a group and a network broader than myself that basically helped others in home buying, and also with other agents to help build their skill sets. It has put me and set me apart from other agents. Lead gen pitfalls that I've seen agents do are just being cookie cutter, looking at a successful agent or looking at someone else and doing exactly what they do doesn't necessarily work for everyone. Scripps gave me more confidence to be able to know what to say when I was talking to certain clients. Also, there's different approaches to different questions that may be asked. So instead of looking at scripts as, oh, I have to memorize this verbatim, it was a resource to gain knowledge and definitely helped me to build confidence, even though I was not planning on using it verbatim. I've always said my purpose is to empower and to elevate others to a level of excellence. And when I meet with my clients, I want to make sure that they have enough information and they feel empowered to make the decision. How can I do that? How can I help you to make you feel that once we've made this connection, you are elevated?
With my time blocking, for the first 2 hours of every day, I would do lead generation. And sometimes it would be 4 hours if I wasn't getting the productivity that week that I wanted. And then I followed up with all of my clients. I learned just lots of very successful habits at night. I think that a lot of new agents want to try all different types of lead generation. They're not really honing each talent in 1 or 2 different lead generation. There's all kinds of different models, but they are not made for everybody. The best lead generation model for me was my sphere. I called my sphere every day. The number 2 way that I got business and did lead generation was open house. I found for me the best way to connect to be in front of him. People I already knew that I had built a relationship with, or I had met at an open house and had time to actually connect with. The scripts that the Ignite program provided for me really worked because they helped me get out of my comfort zone when I was having to call everybody and let them know that I had transitioned jobs, what I was doing, and it gave me the dialogue to ask. On our team, we have picked 6 nonprofits locally that we like. And we do an event with local nonprofits every year. And we meet lots of new people that way. We invite all of our former clients. We invite our vendors. And then we invite the neighborhood. We go door knocking for the event around the park during the city. And then we also have client appreciation. We try to do that quarterly. We'll do a client appreciation event where we invite everybody out to a restaurant and then we provide appetizers and just have fun. It's not necessarily a salesy event. It's just about having fun. by being out in the community, they see that we are knowledgeable about what we're doing, but we're also giving back. We care about where we live.
My first year as a realtor, I tried just about everything in terms of prospecting and lead generation. What I found for me was that I present best when I'm face to face with somebody. So I really focused on open houses and then networking and getting out for coffees, making myself visible in the community, and then always making sure that I was able to speak to what was happening in the market at any time. So keeping up to date with local news and projects in and around town, I found to be very helpful when talking with people. To set myself apart from the many other agents out there, I've been utilizing video. And I find that putting the videos out on Facebook and a YouTube channel, and then even emailing them to clients, really allows people to feel like they get to know you. And I've had experiences where I've talked to people on the phone, and they were, especially with out-of-town investor clients, and they were not necessarily ready to go with me until I sent them a video saying hello, outlining how I could help them. It was good to have the phone call with them, etc. And the feedback I've gotten on the videos has been very, very strong. The biggest pitfalls I saw other agents having, and even falling to myself with lead generation, was not having consistent follow-up. So if I had an open house and I got some names and numbers and contacts and told them I'd be in touch with them, sometimes I would get overwhelmed and I wouldn't touch base with them in a timely manner, or to follow up on calls with somebody that had shown some interest. Making sure that you stay on top of things and follow up with your contacts is very important. Scripts are great for understanding what objections you might encounter and how to overcome those objections. What I discovered was I would learn what the foundation of the script was. What was it trying to get me to say? And then I would be able to, just by knowing that and having read it over and over and over, when I would have an objection come up, I was able to utilize those scripts, the content of the scripts, in my own words.
Boom. All right. Let's share some quick ahas. Excuse me. So what did you guys get from that video? A lot of good stuff in there, right?
Yeah, I think the focusing on like one skill was kind of big. I'm not trying to. It kind of goes back to like the like 20/80 theory of, you focusing. If you put too much energy towards like a bunch of things, you're never really going to get the outcomes that you're expecting. So you need to put all your energy into one thing, and you'll get the outcome you're looking for.
Absolutely. What else, guys?
That's consistency as well.
Consistency, absolutely. So key. Doing it every day. Go ahead.
So really come from a position of care. I can't remember who said it, but avoid being cookie cutter and really just be you, be authentic.
I agree 100% with that. Look, right now, maybe you guys are finding, what your prospecting method is, right? Like what you enjoy doing. And in the beginning, you kind of try a little bit of everything to see what you're there. But you might already know from, just the way you interact with people. Like you might already know if you're a face-to-face person, right? You might know if you like making calls or you prefer text messaging. There's certain things that you're already doing in terms of your behavior and how you interact with people that could tell you what's the better, method for you. The guy mentioned he door knocked early on, right? And put out, mailers and didn't get much results, but found out, hey, I did open houses, and that was his way of winning in this game. And, you want to find that out for you because it goes a long way. Now, I will say this. Calling for me is, I'm not naturally a caller, but in the beginning, I can control through calls, and I want to just bring this up for you guys so you can kind of get a perspective. It's the opportunity where you can talk and control to the amount of people you talk to in a day, so you can get the repetition and develop the experience and skill that you need through enough conversations before you pivot. So I like people to go through the calling threshold. I know it's tough, but I think that once you can get through that, and I think one of them said something about like, get out there and get rejected, right? And it's true. It's like, man, I'm gonna put that on a shirt somewhere, get rejected. I know it sounds crazy, man, but it's kind of awesome once you understand the other side of the business, because we know that once you start, again, gaining that frame of reference, you'll know how many no's it takes for you to get a yes. Think about that. I know top producing agents that be like, I'm glad I got my 30th or 20th no, because I know I'm 3 or 4 away from getting a yes. That's pretty powerful, right? It's another way to spin it. Because those people aren't necessarily a no to you, right? They're just a no to doing business right now. And there's other ways to put them on campaigns and things to maintain. But I think that that's a strong way to look at it. But going back to what you said, being authentic is extremely key. I think that we'll all attract our tribe, right? We don't want all the business out there. I can guarantee you that if I threw you 100 people right now that wants to do business, you're probably not going to want to work with some of those people. They're probably out of alignment with who you are, right? And how you like to be. So we always say, if you're authentic in your process and in your business and in your value proposition, you're going to attract people that you're looking to attract. And that ultimately reciprocates to a good customer service because there's alignment between you and that client. But you might be working with somebody that's just completely out of alignment with who you are, what your values and beliefs are, and working with them, regardless of what the payday looks like, might just be a nightmare, right? So what's cool about this is you get to choose, right, who you get to work with in this industry, right? And it's all about aligning yourself and identifying who that ideal client is, right? And then you can market or you could prospect in that direction to attract that. Things like client appreciation, right? Those are super cool events. I'm not saying you got to start with those things, but hey, if you're a Star Wars person and you want to take 20 of your clients to the next movie or whatever it is, great. Guess what? It's just another way to have fun with your business where you're in alignment with who your clients are and what they're into, right? And I think that goes a long way because that's how the relationship goes beyond just the real estate, right? Now real estate's on the background and we're being purposeful with it, but we're also now get to establish those deeper relationships that ultimately lead to repeat and referral business because there's a lot more commonality there, right? So what else did you guys get from it?
No matter how successful you get, never stop prospecting. That's
right. Even the biggest people, the biggest top producers in the business, maybe they'll go eventually, they get through that threshold where they're now marketing based, prospecting enhanced because they built that, which is great, but they never stop prospecting because guess what? We know eventually there's always a shift. And I'll tell you right now, those heavy hitters, they'll be the first ones to cut the marketing budget, get back in the seat and do what they got to do for 6 months to another year or whatever it takes to get through that shift, to double up the efforts to grow in those shifting markets. And they never stop prospecting because they're always keeping the axe sharpened, right? So maybe they minimize the time that they put into it, but it never stops. Okay. Awesome. Anything else? How about the?
I put it in the chat, but I was saying that cultivating relationships is more important than just trying to drum up business.
That's right. Or the money. The money comes, right? With the relationship, right? So it's so important, again, to establish the relationship aspect. I think building a long-term solid business, it all comes down to how deep are those relationships. And we do have systems, and as we progress through the night, you'll see how you can have just a solid 10, right, or 12 deep relationships with people that are just those core advocates that are your raving fans that are referring you business all the time, you'll be surprised what you could just generate from just that, right? So it doesn't also mean like you got to go out there and like, you know what I mean, like go camping with every single one in your database, but you'll pick those core people that are probably there that are great at referring you business, and you just get purposeful with those relationships too, right? So there's a lot that goes on with that. But another thing that I like that they discussed was, you know, if I didn't have the business, somebody said I lead generated for 4 hours, right? So if your lead gen schedule is 3 and you're not drumming up the business yet, or you're not getting enough appointments, guess what? Get that extra hour in. There's nothing better you could do with that time, right? So I think that that's so huge right there to identify. Great, I don't got appointments. Well, let me put in some more prospecting time. And let me tell you this, there's another way to go about it. If you don't have appointments, create them. I guarantee there's people right now that you guys have that are friends or family that deserve a coffee that you have not got to catch up with in a long time, right? So maybe it's not about business, but maybe you can be intentional that business comes up in the conversation when you have that coffee with them. But if you don't got appointments for the week, pick 2 people out of your phone and go have coffee with them. Be personal, letting them know, hey, I'm in the business. This is what I'm doing now. It's going to come up. They're going to ask how you're doing. You're going to ask how they're doing. What have you been doing? How's work? Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm in real estate now. I'm with Keller Williams. I'm taking this course. I'm part of a team that's amazing. And this is what we're doing. And guess what? You just planted the seed. Somebody in the back of their mind that maybe told them they're ready, they want to buy or sell. That's going to come up in their mind. Maybe they're thinking about buying or selling, but they just don't know how to go about it. They don't want to bother you, right? So if you don't have appointments, create them, right? And be purposeful. It's like a win-win. One, you're deepening your relationship and connecting with people that we know we haven't been able to connect with, considering we're coming out of a pandemic, right? And I probably haven't seen people in a while. So we can be purposeful with that. And it's like a win-win on both sides. So make sure the prospecting is looking right. And then make sure, obviously, if you don't have the appointments, find ways to create them. Coffee's a great way. Not dinners, coffees. Dinners take too long. Coffees are a little shorter and much cheaper if you're doing it consistently enough. So a little pro tip right there. The dinners will cost you. So, and some people deserve dinners. Some people deserve steak dinners, but your core advocates, if you got someone who's eventually referring you, 4 or 5, 10 pieces of business a year, you take them to a Laker game. You figure that part out and you make sure you make it happen because it's worth it. So I'm only giving you guys these different perspectives because I want to bring the side of how fun this business also is and how you can bring your life into it, right? You don't have to, or fit your business in your life. You don't have to necessarily fit your life into the business. And that's some of the perks of what we get to do here. So again, lead gen can be almost any way, shape, or form, as long as it's authentic to you. I think that was one of my big takeaways too from that. Cool. So I talked a lot, and it's great when I get to hear you guys talk. So anybody else have anything before we move on to the next part of the slide? No? All right.
I had a question.
Sure.
As a new agent, what have you found, like in your experience, to be like the most cost-effective way of lead gen to get appointments?
Call. Get on the phones. Just
Okay.
start with the sphere. Start with friends and family and ask how they're doing.
Okay.
How they been. Let the conversation organically go in your direction. And once it gets there, that's your window of opportunity to letting them know that you're in real estate.
Okay.
If I had to give you the most simple way to go about it,
Yeah.
and that would be it. And then second to that is obviously just picking up the phone and calling, FSBO expireds, circle prospecting or specific neighborhoods. That could, you might invest a little bit into a dialer, well worth it though. And then, see where you can get yourself some numbers. from Tidal or from, you know, other resources, or some of those dialing services will get those numbers for you, and just talk to people, right? Let's say, you know, you live in Cerritos and you want to prospect that area because it's near your home, near your office. Great. You know, I'm familiar with it. I know the schools. I grew up here. I go to the mall. I know enough things about it. That's probably an area I want to target. Get the list for the area. Start calling them. Best ways to start. Or door knock or open houses. Open houses are back. The good thing about open houses is when people walk in, they're walking in to an open house because they're obviously interested in looking at a home, right?
Yeah.
Everybody will walk in and telling you that they'll tell you a few things. They'll tell you, one, I'm already working with an agent, or two, I'm just looking, right? And it's your job to build the skill to get beyond those two objections, because it's pretty much what you get all the time. But once you get past that, right, and you can demonstrate you're a viable agent, or can be somebody who can help them get to where they want to go, then you start getting really good at converting. So that's if you're a real face-to-face person. Open houses are definitely great places to do that, get those opportunities. I used to partner up with another agent, and we used to cold call at open houses at the same time, and just switch off when a client comes in. You know, if somebody comes in, if it's slow, so we're just not kind of just sitting there, we're hitting calls. And if somebody comes in, they get the one person, then the next person gets the next person, right? And that's just how it goes. So you can be purposeful with your time too, because the one thing you can't control with open houses that you can't control with calling is, again, you can't control how many people walk into that open house, but you can't control how many people you dial a day to make sure that you get, you know, enough yeses or nos, or ask for the business enough times to say, okay, I'm good, right? To get those 20 or 30 contacts. Another thing I used to do is I would put 20 business cards or 30 business cards in my pocket in the morning when I start my day. And I make sure by the end of the day, I gave those, you know, I made sure that they were all gone, right? I had conversations with people and said, hey, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Or, you know, if a good conversation came up, you know, at a grocery line, you know, whatever it is, I'll make sure at the end, you know, do you have a preferred realtor that you're working with in the neighborhood? You know, this is what I do. Here's my card. So those are opportunities that you can have to make sure that you're getting your contacts daily and asking for the business. And what I mean by asking for the business is getting a yes or no, right? And if you get a no, great. Tell them, well, you know what, I understand you're probably not, you know, you're not ready right now, but would you mind if I, you know, communicated with you from time to time to maybe just give you some updates and stuff like that, and, you know, the market in our neighborhood and whatever else. And some people will just be like, yeah, that's cool. Once you capture their information, great. Guess what you do with that? You put in your database, put them on a drip, and let your drip campaign do the work. You know, so there's different ways of going about the conversations.
Thank you so much. That was super helpful.
Yeah. Am I expanding you guys, expanding your minds a little bit, and
yes,
the little nuances you can do daily to just kind of like be more purposeful? And then once you get there, it's like a way of life. Like, honestly, it gets, you actually have fun doing it. It gets to the point where you're just like, everywhere you go, everybody you talk to, it becomes second nature to you. And what's cool about that is you start developing the confidence to just talk to people, right? And that just creates opportunities, whether it's real estate or not. So it's super cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep. All right. Does everybody see the page here where it says lead gen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. We're at 11:04. Do you guys need a 5-minute break? Or do you guys want to keep going?
Let's knock it out.
Let's knock it out. All right.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. All right, so here's another diagram here as we discussed the different factors in terms of this little pyramid here, where you've got being prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Marketing is money intensive. It's more passive, right? So you're not really trading as much time as you are money. And you got the long-term result aspect of that. It could be, it could take a while for marketing to start turning for you. But when you're prospecting based and you're marketing, let's just say you're targeting a specific area, when you combine those two things, the magic really starts to happen too, because now you've got leads coming in while you're converting leads on prospecting. And then because you're converting enough leads on prospecting, you're doing really good in converting leads and marketing. And then you start to look at where does your ROI make sense, right? And you're compounding efforts in the same neighborhood. Now they're seeing you call, they're seeing you door knock, they're seeing your open house signs everywhere, and you're at an open house every week. And then they're receiving things like, let's say, direct mail, right? Which could be considered marketing, okay? Paid ads through Facebook, right? Google AdWords, Nextdoor, you're everywhere, right? So when you start to combine these efforts, you start to get some pretty remarkable results. Difference with prospecting is more time intensive, definitely proactive, but you get a good pulse on the market, by the way, guys. When you're prospecting, you're hearing what people's perception and what they're hearing and what they feel and what they think is happening in the market. It's the best way for you to see, to really get a good read on what's happening in the market. And the good thing about prospecting is you can get immediate results. Somebody might just say, hey, I like you. I don't know what it is. Come by, I want to list my home. With, doing enough calls, you'll get that, right? Sometimes it takes a little longer. It's not every day, but you do it enough times. I always say you can't keep your foot on the gas and not hit something eventually, right? It's going to happen. So that's where consistency comes in. Okay, there's just a couple of things here that they want me to point out for you here. Let me see. It says lead generation is an ever-evolving list of ideas, methods, and practices that bring leads into your business. There are broad categories of both prospecting and marketing to choose from. You guys have this stuff in your participant guide, by the way, if you're wondering where the information is. Even though a variety of factors, right, let's say the market or agent's preferences, budget, and goals will dictate the type of sources that you will use, right? It's best practice to be prospecting based on marketing enhanced, as we talked. So marketing, again, more indirect, you attract leads and support, enhance your prospecting conversations through marketing, and things like, direct mail advertisement, right? Is probably something that's more marketing based, and then leveraging material to follow up the conversation. Let's say if you're door knocking, you can have material that you send. Let's say somebody is now, you're door knocking and you felt that they shared something with you that was super cool or was in alignment with you are, and you sent them something, right? I don't know, right? Like whatever that is, a calendar or I don't know, an action figure, whatever that is, right? A Laker banner, whatever. You could do things like that. If you feel like that there's something there and they express that there's potential business, you can go a little bit above and beyond and do something cool like that. So again, marketing is there to enhance your prospecting conversations. And then prospecting, it's again, more proactive, keeps you in an active versus reactive state. So you're kind of just not sitting there waiting, right? Allows you to focus on proactive customer creation activities. That's critical to the ability to hit your numbers when the market shifts. Again, prospecting is that important, because when the market shifts, you'll have the ability to convert and get back in the seat, to double up your efforts to make sure that you're making sure you do what you need to do to maintain your business. I'll tell you, 2020 markets like that we just got out of are the markets where the biggest growth opportunity happens. So many people pulled back, and those that doubled down their efforts are the ones that collected on so much business. And those if you look at a pattern of someone's business over 10 years and you see those markets where something, you know, a shift really happens, you can start to see where those, you know, some of those top producers and why they're at where they're at, because they've had exponential growth in those, what would be considered a down year, is where they've had some of their strongest years or collected more market share because they went to work while other agents pulled back. So when you have the skill to do that and get in the seat and double your efforts, it's so huge. Again, another reason why prospecting is big. Well, let's see here. I already kind of shared most of the stuff with you here. Prospecting base and marketing enhanced. Be prospecting base more than marketing enhanced is cost effective. Just a couple of outlines. You build more conversations and connecting when you're prospecting, and you feed your database more consistently, and you can control that. You can check the climate and determine the climate of certain geographical areas when you're focusing your prospecting efforts. Allows you to really become in tune with the geographical area that you're servicing. Again, we covered all that stuff. So those are the things that you get with these two things. Just a little recap on that. Now we go into this part 2 here, which is super cool. And that's your database, right? So what does your database do? Did I miss something here? No. All right, so we all know we have Command here, part of Keller Williams. Maybe some of you are working on teams and they have other CRMs, databases, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, the best one is the one that you're using, but you definitely want one that can just do more than store information, right? Like, it's great that you have email and phone number. It's even better when you have the address, and it's even better when your system that you have it in can communicate with your clients for you. So even though the phone is great, it's very important to get off the phone, right? In the sense of using that as your database and actually being purposeful with having a system that can truly communicate with your clients. Because let's face it, as we talked about, you've got leads and you got contacts, and you're going to communicate with 2 different groups, right? Differently. They're going to probably receive different types of messages, right? Some are going to be long-term, some are going to be more short-term messages that are happening more frequent, right? To solidify and make sure those leads become business, and eventually they go into maybe a longer drip campaign, right? Where it's a more nurturing, cultivating setup. So you want something to create that. We have Command here. Command is a very robust system. It has many, many different tools in it. To me, I think it's a one-stop shop in terms of marketing, database, CRM. I mean, it does so many things. If you guys get purposeful with actually understanding, learning, and going through Command, I think that you'll start to see a lot of the benefits of having this system, and that it's proprietary to us here at Keller Williams, which is super cool because nobody else has it, right? That being said, it all comes down to, you know, you making the effort to understand it and learn how to use it. And the more that you do, I promise you, it's going to help your business out. With that said, how many of you want to share with me what you know about a database? Who could tell me anything about, you know, kind of, I just gave you guys a few things, like, now that you know what you know about lead generation, how much more important is the database for you guys now? Tell me about that.
So for me, it holds the information that we have on our potential leads, our contacts, our phone number, emails, address, and it's a way for us to track how many times that we are in touch with those contacts.
Absolutely. And how awesome is it that if you talk to somebody that, let's just say, is a lead, right, that you barely know, but they shared their dog's name, or they had 2 kids, or they just got back from Mexico, or whatever it is, right, from vacation, any of that, right? How awesome is it for you to note that and pick up that conversation right where you left off 3 months, 6 months down the line? Don't you think that's powerful?
Very powerful.
That's what your database does. It takes notes too, right? Like it really, really helps you pick up where you left off with your clients. So it's so important to be purposeful with that, right? And the database is a tool that centrally stores customer, right, and prospect contact information, which is regularly updated with new details and events. So it could be organized and stored as needed and is continually added to in order to increase business, right? So you're constantly feeding it to increase your business. A database is also a tool to nurture and manage the relationships, right, and track interactions that you have with those people. A well-tended database produces leads. A powerful database managed by powerful schedule procedures and predictable flow of leads. And from predictable flow of leads that you can expect a predictable flow of business. So pretty much with a database, it can start to create deal flow for you that's predictable enough that eventually will convert into income. So when you get to a level where you start to see that your database is producing, right, 24 transactions a year for you, you're probably going to be like, wow, I need to make sure that I keep feeding this thing. Right? You're going to get more purposeful with it. And that's besides other sources you might have in your business. And I don't know if you guys have done GPSs yet, but if you have, your first item should always be your database. Right? So if you're doing a 135 or a 145, number one on everyone's GPS should be their database. The size of your database and the activities to follow up with the people in your database will determine the size of your bank account. Database is the lifeline of your business. Okay. So again, the size of your database will determine the size of your bank account. Let that sink in for a little bit. See what this side stuff here says. Centrally stores information, is updated regularly, can be categorized by specific needs, which is super cool. You can categorize, core advocates, past clients, buyers, sellers, all that stuff, right? Lead generation feeds your database. So not only do you want to lead generate every day, but you also want to feed your database every day, and that's the purpose of lead generating. And then that obviously translates to the business. Let's see here. So leads, right? Leads have valid contact information and can have one-way conversation where you are seeking permission. Contacts, you have a valid contact information and have received permission to have a two-way conversation. So it's important to distinguish these two things, right? Because once you get the permission, guess what? They definitely get to go in your database. And even if you don't get the permission, you could probably still put them in your database, but you're going to drip on them a little differently, okay? And we're going to go into that right now. So leads, right? Here it shows that we have 19 to connect on leads, 4 touches, once a quarter, you're picking up the phone and calling them, 12 touch monthly email, newsletter, market report, or video, right? So you're just sending them info. Then you get 2 touches promotional, could be direct, such as magnet calendar, market report, CMA, etc., whatever those are. And 1 touch annual, maybe you'll invite them to an annual event, party, movie screening, or a little get together. So this is just a 19 touch to convert a lead, right? And then here you got the contacts, 4 touches. Again, maybe you're doing a call every quarter, 26 touches. So you got bi-weekly email offering, right? Emails don't cost us anything for the most part. Type of information of value to your customers. So you could set this up ahead of time. There's a lot of teams out there that, will take the last quarter of the year, get together and establish what these touch campaigns look like for the upcoming year and get those in place. And then you got 2 touch events where you get together 2 events, maybe twice a year. Movie screenings are pretty popular for stuff like that. And then you got the 4 touches where you might do a direct mail, again, magnet calendar, just send them something in the mail to say, hey, here I am. And again, the point of these touches are to connect enough times to stay top of mind in their mind. So if they're thinking of real estate, they're thinking of doing business with you, okay? We're not going to do the tech demo today on command for the sake of time, but you've got contacts, custom tags, smart views, interactions, smart plans. So I do highly recommend you guys do your command trainings when they come into your market center area, or your agent services coordinator should be able to support you with that. But these are super, super cool things where you can, you know, categorize and set up your interactions and smart plans for your different clients or you know, different interactions that you need to have, whether it's texting or email. Part of your activity daily, because you're prospecting daily, should be adding your contacts to your database. I know a lot of agents that are constantly, you know, they have a little notepad and Post-its everywhere, and eventually they end up getting lost. Just get purposeful. Make sure if you're prospecting 3 hours a day, take 30 minutes after that to make sure that all the information that you have is going into your database from the conversations that you've had. Custom contacts, you can color code, whether these are, you know, SOI, whether they're, you know, your people from your kid's soccer team, whether they're, you know, whatever it is, right? Your mechanic, maybe you have contractors you work with, your previous business. You can color code, label these things, and create your custom tags and color code them with that. Customize your database tags. We talked about that. Smart views, right? You can have different filters and different ways, again, to modify and get purposeful with the information that you collect from those contacts and how you can pull those sources up. Interactions, this is where you can ultimately set up phone calls, call notes, text messages, and essentially set up some campaigns and certain things like that through this setup here. So you can design these. There's already some that are pre-designed in Command, so you can adopt what's already in Command, or you can take what's already there and modify them. Set people up with neighborhoods, snapshots. If you know they're looking for a certain area and they got the Kelly app, they can receive updates and things like that through there. So there's quite a few things you can do with interactions. And that's pretty much it. Let me see if I left anything out for you guys. So yeah, so I'm not sure. A lot of people aren't all on Command. So again, whatever CRM you're using, it should have some shape, some form or some platform that does these same things for the most part. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. We're going to cover the sales pipeline. And here in the bottom, we're looking at the number 4, right? The final segment of your database is your sales pipeline. At this point, the model, right, we've used prospecting and marketing, right, for your lead gen. We talked about that for your lead gen activities, and bringing those leads and contacts into your database, right? Now, you've worked both segments of the database through touch campaigns to stay top of mind with the conversations, right? So we lead gen, threw them in the database, put them on some drips. We're staying top of mind. We're making those calls, okay? And now we have to deepen those relationships, right, with the leads and contacts, so that they can raise their hand when they're ready to do business. At that point, the lead or the contact enters a final phase of the lead generation model, sales pipeline, starting with step 4, which is to cultivate. That cultivating, right, the leads and contacts ultimately is the ultimate goal to win appointments, which is the most dollar productive activity, right, that will launch them to the new goal or close transactions in Command or whatever CRM you're in, right? KW has developed smart plans, which will automate the way you cultivate and stay in communication. And there's a few ways to do that. Again, you can jump on Command or do the 66 day command challenges to get more familiar with everything it has, or you could jump straight into some smart plan videos on YouTube and find out what's there. There's a couple guys out there on YouTube right now that's always up to date with the nuances and the changes that they're creating in Command, and a lot of great videos on how to go about creating your smart plans. As the transaction progresses through the appointment to active, then under contract and close, this will mirror the steps from the model in Command, right? So Command is kind of reads this system, this model that we have, and it has its own way of flowing through it, right? And after the transaction has closed, the contact moves back to the contact database and continues an interactive value-based touch campaign for the relationship. So what this says is you've lead generated, right? You went into the database, you've cultivated, you've got them on these campaigns where you've nurtured them, then qualified them. And then you went on the appointment, you've got them in contract, right? Or got an active listing. And then you closed a piece of business. Well, guess what? What happens now? You see this little line that's coming out of the closed on number 8. They go back into your database where you continue again to drip on them, right? With your campaign. So you can have a campaign, again, you got your leads, you got your contacts, and then you can also have a campaign structured for someone that you're actually in contract with, right? And you can have, that could be what to expect in week 1 and week 2 and week 3, and these things just email them automatically, right? And stuff like that. There's all kinds of things you can do. So you can have like a third setup where when somebody's in contract with, you're actively looking, where you have another campaign. But once they're done and you're closing that transaction, they go back up into the funnel, right? And they sit back in your database and will continue to cultivate for the next 5 to 7 years on average, maybe even 10 sometimes, to when they're ready to make that next move. And guess what? Your system has been consistently communicating with them that in 5 or 7 years, guess who they're going to call when they want to do business again? You. And guess who they're going to call when their brother, sister, friend, or family member wants to do business? You, right? Because you've been systematically and consistently communicating with them. And that's the life cycle that we're looking to get into here, that we're creating. So the cultivate stage is super important, because that's when they raise their hand and say, I'm ready to do something. That's when you know all your hard work is paying off. And then boom, you get them back in line again until they're ready to make the next move. And nobody falls through the cracks because you're being systematic. So who wants to share some ahas from this?
Eternal vigilance is the price you must pay for success.
Damn, repeat that again.
That's what it sounds like, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like this, basically what you're saying. It's, constantly stay in contact, constantly make new contacts, and nurture those contacts that you make.
That's it.
Forever, as long as you're in business.
As long as and you know what the best part about this is? It's a system. And the best part about a system is it's automatic, and it can duplicate itself over and over again. So when we're talking about touch campaigns, drip campaigns, you set those up and they just do their job. So while you look like you're constantly out there sending them emails and text messages, you got a system doing all that heavy lifting for you. So you can focus on your key activities every day.
Quick question. Does someone at the office or the market center, like Omar, will they give you kind of like a tutorial or help you set up a campaign, obviously maybe for a fee, to where you could bring them in since they know the system better than you, kind of get your first one set up and then mimic what they do.
Absolutely. And it shouldn't even really be for a fee. You can contact your TL, your productivity coach, your MCA, anybody in leadership and say, hey, we want to have, can we have a command training, right? Can we start, training on this part of command, or can we bring, a regional tech trainer to the office and give us a breakdown on command, or how to set up, campaigns, or how to set up, some lead generating ad campaigns through Facebook, any of that stuff. So just reach out to your leadership, and they definitely should be able to accommodate you on that.
Got it.
100%.
Thanks.
Yep. So Smart Plan demos, you guys can check that out again. But that pretty much wraps us up, guys. Is there any ahas you got from today's session? I know it's a lot of information, but sorry.
Today's session was great. I like the fact that you talked about the system, the command system, and it lets you know that, when you work it and you work your database, that you won't lose your clients to someone else, selling them a house, because you're going to stay on top of it.
That's right. You bulletproof your business with a database.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that, the 70% of people will use the same agent they've already used once. So making sure to capitalize on that by having the database.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was huge. And then just something you said, you can't keep your foot on the gas and not hit something. I thought that was a great way to look at.
Yeah, that applies to everything, anything you want to do. and I want to tell you guys this to add to that. You don't want to be that agent that has their first to be 10, 20 years in the business, having their first year over and over again. Right. And that's that agent that doesn't run a database business. Those are the agents that are essentially doing that. They're out there on the hustle every year, drumming up business, but never having a system to communicate with the business they've already worked for. Right. So you don't want to repeat the same year over and over again. You want to grow year over year.
I wanted to share something. One thing I really like that you mentioned is just getting down the scripts, and eventually you're just, the way you talk, it's just going to be natural, it's going to flow. So that's when the conversion gets a lot easier versus just thinking about, okay, what's the next question? What does the script say? It's like, no, you just be yourself, but it takes a minute of practice to get there.
Absolutely. Get, everybody, I see it all the time where scripts and role play in your market centers, I'm sure they're happening weekly there, some way or shape or form. And they're putting it out, but not a lot of people, get on those things. And it's so important because, at first the scripts feel very uncomfortable because it's maybe not your usual way of speaking, but once you practice it enough times, it will feel more natural to you. And why you want to know the script is because the script is designed to be efficient in the conversation. You can really have a conversation that goes well, but people get tired because there's no direction in the conversation, and the script is designed to get you to the right questions efficiently enough to get the right answers, right? So that you can help be purposeful and support the conversation so that can turn into business. And at the same time, when you internalize that, you could bring your unique self to it. But if you don't know it and you're not comfortable with it, it's really tough to get that natural flow in the conversation that really has people buy into who you are. Because I'll tell you, your product is great, but people are buying you. They're not necessarily always buying your product, right? That's where the conversion happens. That person-to-person relationship starts to form, that connection. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Who else?
I had a question. Is that correct?
Yep.
So I have a particular friend. I just met her 6 months back and at an event, and she is looking for a home in this area, and she already has a realtor she met last year, and keeps calling me like almost on a daily basis to confirm what her realtor is doing right. So I've been guiding her basically for the past 2 weeks now. Our conversations easily run into 2 hours. That's how many questions she has.
Wow.
I'm kind of torn. Like, okay, fine. If you don't have faith in your realtor, just go with me. But like, I'm too scared to say that. I keep trying to imply like, if you need help, I can help you put in touch with my team leader because she knows I'm new. So I have crammed her reservations, but I was like, okay, I can put you in touch with my team leader. And like, she has been in the business for super long and like, you guys will be taken care of. But then she keeps retracting back to her own realtor. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah. So you got to get purposeful with the conversations you have with people oftentimes. And I respect that, right? First of all, let me start by saying this too. We are in a small community, right? So what we don't want to do is we don't want to step over another agent, even if they're not with Keller Williams, just in our industry, trust me. We're a smaller industry, a very small industry. People know each other very well. So you want to respect that, first of all. And they might have an agreement already with that agent. And there's really not much you can do. Now, to consult with them and show them that you're here to support them a few times is great. If it becomes excessive, then it's time for you to have a purposeful conversation with, hey, look, it looks like you're not confident in the agent that you're with. And and with that, I want to respect you. I want to respect the agent and my time, right? And if it's not working with your other agent, then, maybe there's an opportunity where you can communicate that with your agent. And once you do that, feel free to contact me and let's meet at my office and then start discussing your options at that point. But I don't want to get in the way of you and what your agent's creating with you at this point, you're gonna say it with whatever way it works for you, right? But don't be afraid to say it because it's your time. And honestly, if you had 5 deals going in the pipeline right now, you wouldn't be giving her all the time that you've already have, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. The only reason why you're giving her more time because it's a possibility for you.
Mhm.
But if you had a couple other deals in your pipeline, I promise you it wouldn't be a problem for you to tell her like, hey, I don't got the time to help you unless you can commit to me. Because if I want to commit to you and I want my motivation to match your motivation, right? Or your motive, and for that, I'm going to need you to commit to me, right? Because I'm going to commit to you. And at this point, you're committed to another agent, right? And you go from there. So there's, just stay cordial, stay nice, and just let them know, look, you want to support and help, but, you can't keep giving up your time either.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? I like how La Mirada's got like 3 people, like all in one big classroom over there. What's going on, guys?
We're just here enjoying the class.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. We're pretty much wrapped up for today. I would say, go over your packets, ask your market center for some more command training if they're not doing so. Join the script and role play. I know La Mirada is doing it quite a bit there, so that's awesome. We're doing it here on Monday mornings in Cerritos. I'm not sure what's happening in Long Beach. I'm sure they got something over there too. But whatever's not there, these are your market center guys. When I first came into the business, I asked for things. Don't be afraid to ask. Say, hey, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I'm hearing. This is your market center, and I'm sure that they'll be glad to add things on the training calendar in areas that you want to be more proficient in. So reach out to your leadership, and they'll support you in whatever way you need them, I'm sure. Cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm new to KW, and my name is Kay.
Hey, Kay.
Hi, I'm gonna turn my camera on. I was driving at the time. Do you see me now? Okay. Hi, everybody. How do I get that packet?
The participant guide.
Yes.
So you can go to one. I could put it in this chat right now.
Okay.
But if you're on your phone, you're probably not going to be able to download, or maybe you can. Or I could show you guys where to go. Let me share a screen with you real quick.
Chat it and download it later.
Okay. Okay, what's your last name?
OWOH.
Got it. Hold on real quick. All right. Let me go back to my Zoom. I'm going to share a screen with you guys real quick. Teach you guys where to get all the material, including my material. Share screen. All right, do you guys see where it says KW Connect?
Yes.
All right, let me go back here. So when you go to My KW, let me just start it from the beginning so you guys get it from the very start. So you go to kw.com. Typically go to the bottom here, go to My KW. It's at the bottom link, so don't. And then you go into the Keller Williams internet, right? Or the intranet, or whatever they call it. When you click on education, you guys all see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to education, and then guess what? You're right here in Keller Williams University. And then we're doing Ignite 2.0, this little lab dog here.
Okay.
You click on that. And once you click on it, you can go to materials, and here it is. Every class. This is your participant files, and these are the excuse me, the instructor files. So you could click any one of these, and this is where you get your participant guide. And you guys also do have this Ignite toolkit, which is super cool. There's like a lot of different forms in there, GPSs. Let me see if I could open that for you. Ignite toolkit. So you got checklists, you got 411 templates, you got 66-day challenge calendars, cover letter templates. So you got a lot of value in here. So that's why I wanted to show you guys right now, just kind of where to get to all that stuff. Let me go back to it. So it's all here every week. So again, you go to your education, you click on the little lab, go to materials, and it's all there. Your participant guides and the PowerPoints are in the instructor files here.
Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. I just wanted to ask, is there any way we can get the print version of these?
The print version?
Yes.
Once you get them, these are all PDFs. So if you download it, you can print it anywhere in the market center or wherever you're at.
What's your name?
My name's Eddie.
Eddie. Oh my God. I kept looking at your face. Eddie. Oh my God.
Section 21 action, right?
Yes.
How you doing, Kay?
Oh my God, Eddie, look at you. I kept looking at your face. I said, that's Eddie. I wanted to say it so bad.
Good. How are you doing? Long time.
I'm good. Now I'm back at the right place now.
Yeah, you are. I'm so glad that you're with Keller Williams. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my, I was right there with you too, but I was like,
I said,
Man.
I know him, but
It's been
know
what, 5-6 years now at least.
at least.
Yeah.
And I say he lost weight. He just got fat. I was
Yeah,
trying
I
to
was much
make-
bigger back then.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's good to see you, Eddie.
Good to see you too, Kay. I'm
I'm happy about this training.
gonna put my number in the chat. Save it and give me a text.
Okay, I sure will.
Let's connect after after this Zoom here. I just
Oh
put my
wow!
number.
Wait till I tell Mark I seen you on the huddle call.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
Let me grab that. Did I miss it? I think I did. Okay, I got it. I got it. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, guys. I don't want to take up more of your time. It's 11:46. We will see you guys, or we'll be with Rob tomorrow, I believe, for Friday from 10 to 2. And I'll see you guys next week.
All right, take
Thank you,
care.
Eddie.
Yeah, bye, Kay. Nice seeing you.
Have a good one.
Too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.